think the West End has an absolute buzz to it. I still today walk around, even if you're running out to grab a sandwich between two shows. I think I forget, you take it for granted, but when you actually sit back and look at what's on offer, there's so much, and I think theatre is a massive part of that. I think you walk around any corner in the West End and there's another theatre. There's another show, something new and exciting is happening. And I think with that culture, I think even down to museums and all those things, and just the way it looks, I think it's a beautiful place. It can sometimes be crazy, really busy, but it's a buzz. And I think the West End, is thriving at the moment, and I hope it continues, I really do. Hello, my name's Stephen Paling and I'm the resident director, and we are going to talk about Mamma Mia, the musical at the Novello Theatre. I can always remember dancing to ABBA at the school disco, always. But I never thought, I didn't realise I knew so many when I first started the show. I was like, oh, okay, so more and more. But it never tires. It's a really odd thing. And people say, it comes on the radio and, there it is. But it's amazing to hear the originals as well as it is to hear the show. So it's fun.
Well, I've been listening to ABBA since I was a child. Yeah, it's kind of, it's steeped in British tradition, often at the end of the party, put on some ABBA songs and, so I've always known the songs, yeah. But it's not until I started actually learning them in detail that I appreciated them so much and realised actually how brilliant they are.
I think, well, through my childhood, the ABBA was always coming up. It was always there, always all the way through. But when I very first started the show, I can remember thinking, I'm not an ABBA fan, right at the beginning. Now I'm a massive ABBA fan, huge, enormous. But at the beginning, I can remember being a bit, I've heard this all the way through my childhood. I'm not an ABBA fan. Love ABBA now.
I think the music is world class, as we know. It's been around for so many years and it keeps reinventing itself. And I think the beauty of this and the beauty of Mamma Mia is that you're not just coming to hear those songs, you also get an amazing story. So I think even if you just want to come and hear the songs, you can't help but get involved and invest into the story as well. And there's something for everyone in it, and I think I've been with the show now for since 2004, so a long time. I was only doing it for a year, and here I am. I'm still here. I'm in love with it. But I think you can't help but connect. And I know that there are parents, grandparents, grandchildren, generations of people that come and see the show, and they come back because it just has something for everyone.
What's brilliant about this particular show is that the story is so strong. I think often with jukebox musicals, as they become known, the story is kind of secondary. Let's just do a little story and shove that famous track in. This is like the story has been led, and it was the original creators of this show were very much on that journey. Phyllida Lloyd, the way she directed, she was like, this is going to be a story about this redemption, about these people from the past coming to this island, going through a process of redemption. It's a love story. It's the songs come out of that. So everything is it's not just kind of crowbarred in. So on top of hearing those fantastic songs, you also get a great play. It's a play with fantastic songs. And I don't know what the magic is. If any producer in the world knows the magic of why this show works, they'd all be billionaires. But you try and analyze it. Why does it work? How it works? And it's like the secret to Mr. Kipling's cakes. or Kentucky Fried Chicken. No one really knows the secret ingredients, but you put them all together and magic happens. And it's been running for this many years. And that's what it feels like. There's a certain magic that happens with this show that just has a life of its own.
Tanya, well, she's a force to be reckoned with, isn't she? She's like one of those women who says things that you're too afraid to say. So Tanya will say it, you know. So it's great to play her. It's like a real release, you know. I'd never be that brave in real life. Not as brave as Tanya, definitely not. It's a wonderful book. I've got the book there, I've got the songs. And it's a gradual process, you know. She develops in the rehearsal period, and she also develops around the other characters as well. Yeah, and you feed off of them. Yeah, but it's so enjoyable playing her. I love becoming her every night. She's great fun. For me, the songs that I have in the show are fine. I don't find challenging because they sit very well on my vocal range. It's not too high, it's not too low. So yeah, maybe that's one of the reasons why I got the part. But I think some of the other songs are probably, yeah, quite challenging. Yeah, some of the other ballads, you know.
Wild Bill. I love my character. I really enjoy playing him because he's quite a fluid character. He's come to this island and he's kind of a committed, single, monogamist. I'm never going to have a relationship. I'm never going to have children. I'm a wandering player. But underneath it, deep down, you sort of sense this loneliness, that there's this kind of, he's got to middle age and he's kind of like, is there more to life than this? So he comes to this island and he goes through this process during the show and discovers a love and a child, possibly. so yeah, but I like Bill very much because he's quite loose, you know. He's quite well. It's kind of nice as an actor to take that on stage, that kind of idea that you could do anything at any point. I mean, obviously you've got the script, but you can play with him quite a lot. He's not got too strict a storyline. So I think one of the strengths for Bill is that the costume I wear in my first arrival is very clear, the kind of character I am. And I think the audience get him very quickly and they find him funny very quickly. So I think that helps me. Like I say, he's got that kind of like very identifiable fun element.
There is hundreds of costumes in the show. I haven't got a specific number. I should have these statistics. There are hundreds in the show. And we have hundreds of understudy costumes as well in the show, because for each principal part, there's 3 separate sets of exactly the same costumes made for each person who is an understudy, 3 or 4 covers for each principal. And so that's a lot of big sets of costume that we have stored in the wing as well. As soon as the show goes up, we are starting to prepare the things that come off stage. We start re-preparing them for the evening show. So it's like a constant machine of, now we've done it for a long time. So we now know the process. And so everything's put in place of, as soon as this comes off, someone takes it up this amount of stairs and then somebody else down and someone else takes it back down, and the whole thing works like this. And as soon as the show comes to an end, everything that's just been worn then gets cleaned and then re-prepared and steamed and reset for the show, and it finishes just in time for the next show going up. There's me and my deputy and my assistant in wardrobe, and then we have a full-time person who irons for 6 hours a day, and then each day there is another person who does 4 hours of steaming of the costume. So every show we have the 3 of us working during the day on any repairs, and then we have someone ironing the whole tie every day for the 6 hours and someone steaming for 4 hours every day. So that's for each day that happens. And then on top of that, the nighttime that come in to join us, there's another 5 full-time dressers who look after all the cast backstage with my team. And so we have queues as well backstage, but there's 5 others who look after the the rest of the cast and all preset all the costumes, do all the quick changes, and we do some quick changes too. And then at the end, everyone ends up back in wardrobe with all the laundry and all the costumes they need repaired. And we have a big notebook every day that this has gone wrong, this has gone wrong, this is broken, this needs attention, this needs refitting, blah, 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 for each day. So each day when we come in, we already have a million jobs to do. It is a big costume show, and there's a lot of maintenance to look after everything, but it's a complete pleasure to do it. And I have a fantastic team. And so everyone in the team, it's a huge team effort. It couldn't just be done by one person. You know, it's an army of us to look after it, but everyone loves doing it. So
I think the show has evolved massively. I think, you know, when we opened back in, I wasn't here, but in '99, I think, you know, the vision for the show was current then. And I think we do move, we have moved, it has evolved. And like I said, you know, especially with the young people that are in our show today, they have such energy and such an insight into life and what is going on. And we encourage that. They bring such a vibe to our show. And that's always encouraged. You know, we want people to be individual, we want them to be themselves. And I think that's why our audiences relate to them, because they're allowed to be that.
You know, it's a cliche, but every show is slightly different. And the job in a long run, I've done a couple of long runs of things, and the job as an actor, it becomes less about kind of discovery and more keeping it fresh and finding ways to keep it fresh. And it becomes a technique in itself to pretend that you've never said these lines before and to think it fresh. And you kind of slightly change things every now and again to kind of take yourself by surprise, change the nuance, have a new thought. I went through my first ever script for my first rehearsal, because you get this kind of different notes each year from the director. And I went back to my original script when I restarted it this time and found the notes from it. And I thought, oh, there's loads of stuff that I've kind of moved away from. I can go back to that and find things that I'd written down but not really played fully. And you just, we're storytellers, and the story has to be. You don't recreate, you create. That's the difference. If you try and recreate, it'll slowly die. But if you try and create every night, and you have to kind of trick your brain into have never thought this or said this before, and then you can and you get a lot from the audience as well, you know.
The Prime Minister has announced the most drastic limits to our lives that the UK has ever seen in living memory. The aim, he says, is to save lives in this time of national emergency.
No politician alive could ever have imagined delivering it, and that's because the coronavirus crisis is a situation that the country has simply never faced anything like in living memory.
All non-essential retailers must shut, so that includes many high street chains, clothing stores, health and beauty salons, hotels, essentially anywhere that doesn't sell food or vital supplies.
The theatres are dark, the bars are shut. The vitality and enterprise that built London has been banished.
We were preset and ready for the show that night. So everything was set and cleaned and ready to go on as normal. And then it was, okay, everyone, we have to stop, because the announcement came out and everyone go home. So then after the first few weeks, we realized, okay, we're not going to be going back for a while. So we came in all masked and gloved up, a couple of us, and we covered everything, had it all covered in plastics and bagged everything up. And then another few months later, there was a whole lot of work was going to happen on the theatre. So we were able to come in and empty all the wings and empty all the wardrobe, and so that everything was actually on the stage. So we just had all the equipment, everything railed up on the stage, and they worked on the rooms empty when there was no one in the theatre. So that was fine. So then everything was protected, clean and ready to go again when we were going to open up again.
I remember stood just over there, actually, in fact, the day that we heard the announcement from the government that we were closing down. And I think the feeling through all of us was, this is going to be a short-term thing. And I can remember leaving the stage door kind of in a slightly weird, strange way, thinking, this hasn't happened before. And obviously after so long with this show, and it's obviously been running for a long time, it just becomes part of it's part of my life anyway, massively. So to walk away and know that it wasn't happening, and like I said, I remember saying to lots of people, I'll see you in about 2 or 3 weeks, possibly. And I don't think anybody knew what was ahead.
The first few months, you're thinking, okay, what's happening? Are we going to come back? Is it going to, and the news got worse and worse. And obviously we're in, communication with the company, and the company saying, okay, well, hopefully it's going to be summer, and then it was going to be Christmas or whatever. But for the first few months, I think there was just the whole world was in shock. Nobody really knew what was going on and how it's going to work out. And after a couple of months, I was kind of thinking, okay, right, I better get some work.
After quite a few months of doing all the alterations for everyone that I knew, anywhere, I would say, give me your alterations, let me do some sewing at home. I've got all my machines at home. I'll carry on doing things. I then did a week on a big film, and that was really good fun. And then went back to doing bits and bobs, and then I got a job in a supermarket thinking, do you know what? I can do anything. It's fine. I'll do any job. I'll go and work in a supermarket. It's fine. And it was very, very difficult to think that I'd said goodbye to this industry and that maybe I would just work in a supermarket for a little while. No, I definitely won't do that again. So if it was going to happen again, I would do something else for me, because it wasn't as easy as I thought to go, any job's fine, it's okay. So when we did come back here, it was, oh my God, my whole universe has come back, and this is actually what I want to be doing every day. It's different to any other kind of job. It's your whole being. It can do this job. So it's made me really appreciate everything about the job, no matter how difficult it can be.
I think I remember messaging David and saying, is this real? Is this really going to happen? Or are we just, it felt absolutely magical. It felt great. It felt really great. I can't explain it. It's just the first night back here was just extraordinary. I mean, they just screamed for 2 hours. Just every scene, every song, every entrance. It was just, and it's kind of stayed quite wild in that. I think people need it. People need this community. They need to be together. That's the way we're built, to share. We're not islands on this planet. And I think that, there's a cliche in our business that you enter the auditorium as an individual, but you leave as an audience. And that's more true than ever, I think. They did some research, didn't they? They did research on people's heart rates when they're watching a show, and they all start to sync to each other. It's an amazing event. It's an amazing thing, especially a show like this, which is so feel-good and so happy and so, people come in and they just have the best, they get to go on holiday to a Greek island because no one's allowed to go anywhere, so that's great. And they get to hear the greatest pop songs ever written and have an amazing, so you feel it's quite visceral, the sense of enjoyment and pleasure. And it's just bloody great to be up here and giving it out,
I was cheated by you, and I think you know when. So I made up my mind.
Absolutely excited. It's been 2 years since I booked it. Absolutely brilliant to be here.
Back again, Novello Theatre. It's amazing. Welcome back, guys.
It's just the most exciting, euphoric night to have Mamma Mia back at the Novello. Well, to get to this point during the last 16, 18 months, with the whole pandemic, it's been huge challenges.
We've been able to completely renew everything. We've checked everything, we've cleaned everything. So it's like a brand new production.
The cast have been so amenable. They're working hard and committed. I can't believe we've kind of conquered it, really.
It's been a really long journey, the last 18 months, and to see it back on stage at the Novello is quite emotional.
It is just a joy to be in the theatre again and to see this wonderful show. It's fantastic.
I think it's phenomenal. It's so exquisitely directed. It's so beautifully acted. The choreography is fantastic. I loved it.
It has been the strangest time, and it is such a joy that we are back.
It's an absolute joy. Thank goodness it's back at the West End.
Very, very special.
When we just kind of heard the reaction from the audience, I was actually quite emotional.
It's amazing.
I could never have imagined the reaction from the audience, the excitement of the cast, and it's just magical.
We did our last show March the 14th, 2020. And tonight we're back.
The atmosphere was electric. Everyone was up and dancing.
It was the most amazing show I've seen.
Just the best feeling ever. I'm so glad the theatre's back.
The cast, you could see they were buzzing.
Absolutely.
The audience were just loopy with excitement.
Mummy is back. Mummy is back. Woo! Woo!